Alaska Real Estate Podcast starts right now. Big thanks to Alaska USA Mortgage Company for helping make this program possible. Be sure to thank one of the mortgage planners all around the state near you. Find them online at alaskausamortgage.com. On today's program, I'm really excited about it. I mean, I love all these shows. You know, we've got so many cool people that participate, from Alaskan realtors and people in leadership and, our people down in Juneau, wherever, and people like Matthew Ferry, who brought us the Law of Attraction and his experience with Earl Nightingale and all those great interviews, Nobu Hata and technology, Shannon King. We've got some really awesome participants from all around the country. I'm particularly excited about today's interview with Jason W. Womack because I first heard of him several years ago. And unbeknownst to me, he would come back into my life in the form of a gift. Alaska USA mortgage planner Rhonda Johnson gave me a gift of a book called Your Best Just Got Better by Jason W. Womack, and it's phenomenal. And the guy's name rung a bell. I was like, wait a minute. I've heard him speak. I heard him interviewed several years ago. It was called Workplace Productivity. It was an interview given to me as a gift, and I listen to it continually. Every single year, a couple times a year, I listen to that interview, and it's made a big difference in my life. Well, so will this conversation with Jason that I had. Check it out. Here's how it went. First and foremost, Jason Womack, any relation to Leanne Womack, the country star?
You could broker that introduction. I'll take it.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder.
I'm related to Mel Tillis, which may or may not have any capital today.
I figure I just need a couple of prominent people to walk down the street holding my book. No problem.
There you go. Good enough. I'll talk to my Uncle Mel. Well, here's a serious question, though. What makes Jason Womack jump out of bed in the morning?
Can't wait to get to work. And, really I've figured out my most important thing is to blend curiosity with experimentation. So for me, the driving force behind the work I do as an educator, as a student, and as a coach is everyone that I get to spend time with, including myself, that's who I spend the most time with, has ideas about how the world should be, how relationships should be, how the world should be. So anything that I can do to close the gap between thinking how something should be and taking an action toward what might produce that outcome, I'm all for. So that's really what you get with me. The title of the book, Your Best Just Got Better, is really designed for a specific set of people. There's a lot of people, by the way, who are going to look at the title of my book and run away, right? Their best is good enough. Their experience is the top of their game. I want to attract that next level of person who says, yesterday was pretty good. What could I do personally, professionally, familially, community-wise, with my local politics, with my local economy, to enhance things, even a little bit?
There's so much uncertainty in the world, from war to terrorism, financial global collapse, and so forth. What if my best doesn't make a difference and won't make anything better?
Well, I just don't buy that. Personally, I know we only have a little bit of time, so I'm going to be as shoot from the hip as I can. The only world I can change is mine, my inside world. I had a mentor of mine teach me. She said, Jason, how you experience the world is not what happens to you, it's what you think about what just happened to you. And so as far as, can I be the change I want to see in the world? To myself, I can. No, I'm not a parent, but if I get to work with a parent, if I get to work with a friend of mine or be with a friend of mine, just last week I was over at a buddy's house, and his 4-year-old daughter came in. She'd just drawn a picture. And, she said, Jason, look. And the obvious response from an adult to a child who just drew something, especially that 4, 5, 6-year-old, right? The obvious response is something like, oh, good job. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, you did so well. And I looked at the girl and I said, Gracie, I said, why did you draw what you drew? What do you think about when you see what you just drew? And my friend turned to me and he goes, what's up with that? I said, well, I tell her she did a good job. she's now put the power of that experience in my hands.
Oh, yeah.
If I get her to tell me what that means to her, she owns it. It's hers. And so I love your prompt, Chris, because I think you're right. You know, there is uncertainty. There is imbalance, if you will. And what if the only thing that someone could be certain or in balance with is how they're going to react to that?
Your book is your best, as you just mentioned, your best just got better. Work smarter. Then the subset is work smarter, think bigger, and make more. And one would immediately think make more means make more money, but it can mean a lot of things, can it?
You know, I ascribe to the Napoleon Hill philosophy of making more. And that book, Think and Grow Rich, you know, it's on most people's bookshelves, or they've seen it at a garage sale in the past couple of months. Go get it, read it again. But you're right, Chris. I wanted people to – actually, I was doing a radio interview, and the woman said, "This is Jason Womack. He wrote the book, Your Best Just Got Better. Work smarter, think bigger, make more money." And I'm looking at my book going, where did she get that from?
Right.
So natural.
Yeah.
So the more that you'll see and hear and experience me writing about is making more of a contribution, making more of a difference, making more of a relationship. And here's the activity, and I know we're jumping to the last 3 chapters of the book really fast, but the activity that I give clients, and you can do this right now. You pull out a piece of paper, you go to your whiteboard or a flip chart or your Word document, make a little inventory, maybe the 10, 15, 20 things you made last week. What did you make last week? So, you know, for me, I made a couple of memories. I made dinner a couple of times for my wife. I got a new camera. I made a couple of new pictures. I did get paid. I got paid from a client, so I made some money. What are the things that I made last week? And then just go down and put a little star next to the ones you'd like to make more of next week. That's where I'm going for when I say make more. And so the last chapter of the book is called Improvement and Practice, because it's in the practice and it's in that assessment that I can look back and go, what did I make? What have I made? What would I like to make more of? Oh, ready for this? What do I need to make less of?
Right. More time. But we can't make more time, but we can
make more time. You know, that's why, by the way, the subtitle of the book really goes in the order that I wrote. So you work smart. As soon as you start work smart, I'll come back to that. Then you think big. Once you start thinking big, then you want to make more. And that whole first section of the book on working smart is about efficiency. It's about effectiveness. It's about productivity. And in Chapter 3, I do a whole chapter on time management. And so if anybody's out there thinking, gosh, if I wanted to get more out of those 24 hours a day, actually, I teach my clients you have 96 15-minute blocks of time in a day. 24 hours doesn't mean anything to anybody anymore. They don't understand. That doesn't mean anything. But if I look back and I go, well, wait a minute, I have 96 15-minute blocks. If someone's late to a meeting by 15 minutes and I get to do some extra work, I just got a 1% gain on my day. You know, anyone in the financial business, if I could get you 4, maybe 5 extra 15-minute blocks in a day, that's a 4 or 5% return. You know, if I could guarantee you a 5% return on your money, especially right now, you'd give me everything you could find.
That's right. That's right.
What I want to do with people's time. I'm not going to get them back. You know, actually, we should be honest. You will get an extra day this year. So this is 2012, and February 29th will be an extra day. So you get a whole 24 extra hours.
Right.
But what I know about this is that's not the solution. People, even if you got an extra day every 4 years, you're not going to feel like, oh, wow, I'm being so much more productive today. Because there's other factors that go into what happens in time that makes us feel like we haven't managed it well. My friend Rhonda Johnson with the Last USA Mortgage Company gave me a copy of your book, Your Best Just Got Better. And you want to hear the problem I've got with the book? I do. All right, good. So I've got a big problem with the book. So I sit down, I got a copy of the book from Rhonda, as I said, and I sit down, beautiful Saturday morning, and it's snowing outside. I've got the fire going, fresh brewed coffee,
I'm just like, I'm on.
Ready. Bring it on.
Bring it on, Jason. I'm going to read this book this weekend. I'm done. This is it. The sun coming up over the mountains. I mean, this is like picturesque. I couldn't imagine anything better. The fire's going. My wife comes in. She's got her tea. We're both reading different books. And I read the prologue. And I elbowed her on the couch, and I said, hey, listen to this. I reread the prologue to her. We both put down our books, grabbed our pencils and notebooks, and for the next 3 to 4 hours, we planned the next 4 years, maybe 5 years of what we considered every day being an ideal day. So that's my problem. That weekend, that's as far as I got, and it changed the course of my life. I'm not kidding. That was phenomenal. I loved it. Would you talk about the ideal day?
The ideal day, and I'm a little emotional right now, so just bear with me here. The ideal day came to me from a mentor of mine in college. I was becoming a teacher. I was going to be a high school teacher, and a mentor of mine, Ron, sat me down, and I was busy. I was stressed. I was student teaching during the day. I was taking university graduate level classes at night. On the weekends, one weekend a month, I would go either to San Francisco, LA, or San Diego, and I would take these extra credential courses. And I was going to be the teacher of all teachers. And he sat me down, and he actually had me write out what an ideal teaching day would be. And, I'd put things in there about, the kids and the parents and the community and my colleagues and myself. And that one, I never achieved that one. Never, and then there's a lot of things that went into it. One of the things I learned from that was that my ideal day has to be 50% believable and at more than 50% in my own control. Now, if you go back and if you read the ideal day that I wrote about in the book, it was a stretch. I talk about waking up in the mountains. I talk about talking to a client in Asia. I talk about going for a mountain run. I talk about having a latte on the couch with my wife. Those kinds of things, I felt like, well, it's a stretch, but I believe it at least 50%, and I'm pretty much in control of those things happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're the third person I've heard from in the past 2 days who said that they couldn't get past the prologue.
In a good way.
Bad way. Not in a bad way, but, here's the power of a book. A book is supposed to make the reader think about something they may not have thought about that way before. If that happened to you in the first pages, not a bad use of $24.95.
No.
Bad use of 10 minutes plus the 4 hours that you two talked about this thing. Yeah. The other thing that I appreciate about that, and this is something I heard from another buddy of mine here in Ojai, he said after he'd read my book, he and his wife were having new conversations. Well, wait a minute. Again, back to this whole thing, right? The purpose of a product, a document, a service is to initiate new conversations. And that's where I come from this. So thank you. I'm delighted. I can't wait to hear more stories like that.
You can catch the rest of my conversation with Jason Womack by clicking on the Motivation tab at the top of this site, alaskapodcast.net. Just click on the Motivation tab and you'll find it there, and it's worth the investment of time. What I do a lot of times is just put it on in the background while I'm working, doing something else, maybe click on it on my iPad and just check it out. Really worth the time. Whatever you're doing, you can always do better. Your best just got better with Jason Womack. So check it out. Really, really want to thank Jason for all his time. And, of course, Alaska USA Mortgage Company for sponsoring this segment of the program. It's time now for your Alaska Housing Featured Realtor for February. Meet Stacy Risner. How long have you been with the Madden team?
I've been here since December of 2009.
Oh, okay. Quite a while. Now, what is your role with the Madden team? Are you actively selling or manager? What is your role right now?
My role is director of operations, so management, not sales.
Okay. But you've been in sales. That's been part of your past.
Yes, I was a realtor for 7 years at Robert Fox Realty prior to my job at the Greater Fairbanks Board of Realtors.
Oh, got it. Now, what did you do for the board?
I was the association executive for the board.
Oh, wow. How long did you do that?
5 years.
So you've been in literally almost every facet of real estate. Have you been an appraiser yet?
I haven't been an appraiser yet.
Okay, yet. Leave that door open. Leave it open.
Yeah.
Well, Stacy, give me 2, maybe 3 reasons why someone would move to or live in Fairbanks, Alaska.
The beautiful weather, the super friendly people, and the beautiful weather.
That's okay. Hey, you can go with the weather twice if you want. I'm not going to stop you. Seriously about the weather, though? I mean, you're being serious.
Yes, it's a beautiful day today. We have great summers.
This is true. And your winters, I guess, are consistent, that they're just cold, right, all the way through.
Yeah.
I guess when you're in the interior, winter's winter. You just get used to it. How long have you been in Fairbanks, then? Walk us through that.
I got to Fairbanks in 1993.
What landed you there?
The military. Came up, was a military spouse.
Oh, okay. All right. And ended up liking Fairbanks.
Yep,
And just...
you loved it and stayed.
Well, let's talk about the difference between being an officer for the board, being a management person in management in the Madden team, and sales with clients. I mean, where do you feel strongest? Or, I mean, do you like what you're doing now versus selling, or what did you like about selling? What's the difference?
I personally didn't really like selling that much. For me, I took every aspect of it very personally, so it was just it was very stressful for me. So once I was able to kind of step out of that and be more behind the scenes, it gave me a good experience for being able to understand what the realtors were going through at the board position, and so it worked out great. But yeah, I'm definitely a behind the scenes type of person.
But you like real estate enough to be obviously still involved all these years. Was it the rejection that you didn't like? You said you take it personally. Was it?
It wasn't the rejection, but I mean, I rooted for my clients for every little thing, and like they didn't get those custom drapes that they really hoped would go with the house, and I would just feel terrible that they didn't get those custom drapes that went with the house. I
understand. Got it. Just becoming disinterested from the transaction was difficult.
Right. Yes.
Any advice, looking back on it now from where you are years later from selling, any advice for realtors that might be in the same position where they do take it very personally?
To not do that, and to not, once you feel yourself getting caught up in that, to kind of, step away and, realize that you need to be guiding your clients through that change, not going through that change with them.
Well, that's good advice. That is. Speaking of advice, has there been anybody in your life that's been a mentor, whether it be real estate or otherwise, that has given you some really great life advice and you followed it and how you implemented it?
One of the big mentors in my life was my business teacher in high school. She had a great outlook and pretty much just taught us that, whatever we set out to do, we could do, and especially if you set out and do it with a great attitude. So, yeah, Mrs. Etheridge she's been my mentor.
Melissa Etheridge was your business teacher?
Mrs. Etheridge, not Melissa Etheridge.
I know. I just couldn't resist. Well, that's cool. I think that's really interesting. We say things or we'll speak to somebody about something and not really recognize what an impact we've made. And here, these years later, you're still going back to that. That's really good advice. And it's easy to say, I guess, to know that you can go out there and do anything you want. But what about implementing it or taking action? Do you set goals, or how do you live now?
Yeah, I set goals both professionally and personally. Always make sure you've got them written down and in front of you where you can see them. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Do you one of these that puts notes on your mirrors or anything like that?
Not quite that bad, but I've always got a notebook with me that I keep all that stuff in, and I refer to it regularly. Yeah,
cool. Me too. That's neat. Any good books you've read along these years, as either in sales when you were trying to cope with all the little details and taking things personally, or from your executive experience, or now team management? Any good books you could recommend to us?
Just finished Raving Fans, all about customer service and improving that experience, and was able to take quite a bit out of that one.
That's key, isn't it? And that's Ken Blanchard. I mean, taking the book and then implementing it. So what do you do if you find a good idea in a book? Do you take and create a new policy for yourself or a new rule that you live by, or how do you implement that?
A lot of times I will. I read books with a highlighter and my notebook, and I kind of, make notes. Oh, hey, I want to, great idea. I want to start doing this at work, and highlighter and a notebook, they're with me all the time.
Is that part of do you find that the team, all of you guys are readers and sort of absorbing knowledge and implementing things in your business?
Yes, it's definitely part of our culture. We encourage everyone to read books and stay on top of it. But we've even started a little book club here at the office, and we'll pick a book and read it and then discuss it as a group.
What a great idea. How often do you meet?
About once a month.
That's just right. Any more than that, and it's obnoxious. Once a
Right.
month is good. If I were walking along and I noticed you dropped your iPod out of your purse, but before I could get it back to you, I put the headset on and listened. What would I find? What's the first song I would find on your iPod?
Hadn't downloaded a whole lot of songs, but I have books on it.
Me too. I'm in the same boat. Isn't that funny? You learn about people.
Wow, what would be the song? mostly I'm a rock chick.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, probably pretty similar position. We're pretty big on, growth and adding new people, so it keeps it always interesting. It's not the type of job you're going to get bored with. There's always something that we're adding or expanding or doing differently. So, yeah, I see myself kind of where I'm at, still probably with quite a few more people. Thanks for thinking of me as a featured realtor. That was pretty exciting.
Thank you, Stacy Risner, and thank you, Alaska Housing, for supporting Alaskan Realtors and the Alaska Real Estate Podcast. You can stay up to date on the latest from AHFC at ahfc.us. A big thanks also to Alaska USA Title Agency. What are people saying about Alaska USA Title? Well, here it is. I would recommend, says Vonda, Alaska USA Title Agency to anyone purchasing a home. Julie and Elaine said thanks for all your help on the Applebee's closing. Thank you for all your hard work, Fred says, and your timeless efforts. Add your name to the growing list of satisfied customers from all around the state with Alaska USA Title Agency. Online at alaskausatitle.com. Sandy Ehrenman is our executive producer. For all of us at Alaska Real Estate, I'm Chris Story, wishing you health, wealth, and prosperity.